welcome to this very wintry morning. This is Gina at the Library Mouse. Welcome back if you are not new. So today I thought that I would go ahead and do a combo video of a December wrap-up and my January TBR. I really can't say what I have is a TBR list. I guess you could call it what I am currently reading in January, because it's what I am reading for some challenges that I had on hold at the library. And to be honest, I really have not done much book shopping lately since the holidays. So that is on my agenda though, because cats are making so much noise. But I use Fetch. It's a little app on my phone where I put in my receipts and then you get points that you can use. And so every time I get points on there, I use it at Barnes and Noble. Barnes & Noble's probably about 50 miles away. Yes, I could shop online, but unless there's a very specific book that I'm looking for, I would rather go to the store to actually buy the book. Plus, my Barnes & Noble has a used book section, so they keep their clearance books in there, but people then, I don't know if they buy used books from people and then resell them, but there are some books that are there that are on the $1 table. So I like to go in and browse through that because you never know what you're going to find. So let's start off first with what did I read? What did I DNF in December? So the first book that I finished was a book called Superhost by Kate Russo. So this was actually one of the books that I hauled from the Dollar Tree, and it was pretty good. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's about a man who is now divorced. He is kind of a has-been artist, and in order to make ends meet, he decides to airbed, which is like Airbnb, airbed his home while he lives in his art studio. And during the course of the book, 3 different couples, rent his home. And you kind of go back and forth between the story of the people who are renting the home and how these people are kind of helping him grow as a person and to have confidence in himself. It wasn't great. It was engaging enough to keep me reading. And I would probably try something that she read again. The second book that I finished was Jello Girls by Ali Rowbottom. So I gave this 3.5 stars too. Like I said, December was not a stellar month for book reading. It was a memoir of Ali Rowbottom's family, her mother, and her grandmother. And they are all part of the Jello empire that is in Leroy, New York. I've been to Leroy. I've never been to the Jello Museum. It is on my to-do list. But it's a small town, and the story goes between the history of Jello and how Jello impacted the lives of, first, the people who live in that village because it was their main employer, to how it impacted the United States in general after, especially after the war, and housewives using Jello. It it was an interesting read. I didn't love it because I felt that, first, all of the women in the family have some kind of eating disorder. They also have mental illness that runs through the family. And throughout the book, they all seemed to lay the blame for this on Jello. I thought that it was a little far-fetched. You know what? It reminded me of when I had to write a paper in college on a specific term, or I was trying to, come up with a thesis sentence, and then I had to write my paper to prove my thesis. And sometimes it was all just, I was trying to think of the right word, but it was written to fit my thesis. And I feel like the thesis here was that Jello, and being part of this Jello family, and being part of a very misogynistic world, created all of the problems and issues these three women had. And I didn't necessarily buy that. It was okay as a memoir, but I felt like the women used that as an excuse. Let's put it that way. And I don't know if that's truly accurate, but that's the tone, that's the feel that I got from Jello Girls. If anyone else has read it, let me know what your opinion was. What did you think? So I also finished All Fall Down, a book by Jennifer Weiner. I love her. The premise of this book I thought was interesting. It is a very harried mother who winds up being addicted to prescription drugs. It was interesting. It was a good read. It was a heavy subject, but it was not a heavy book, if that makes sense. It was easy to read, to get through. It was good. And then the last book that I read, only for in December, I read The Christmas Joy Ride. It was an ebook by Melody Carlson. I wanted a Christmas book to read in December, and this fit the bill. It was about an older lady in her 80s who is moving across the country to her retirement home. I believe it was in Arizona. She is also a blog writer, and her blog is about Christmas joy. So she decides that along this ride, she would put out on her blog a call for people who need some Christmas joy in their lives. And she picked 6 people. She's going to go right across country and deliver Christmas joy to these 6 individuals or families. Well, she's starting to not feel good. So she asks her neighbor, who is a younger divorced woman, if she would like to go along with her. And of course, she says yes. So they have this Christmas joy ride in this big RV decorated for Christmas. And the story revolves around their relationship, the joy that they spread. There's a little romance sprinkled in there. It would be a perfect little Hallmark movie, but it definitely was not the typical Hallmark romance plot line, which is, I didn't want that. It was cute. I gave it 4 stars. It was a nice, light Christmas read. I also had a couple books from the library that I did not finish. The cats are knocking my mirror. Let me see if I can turn this around. Look at little Ish up there. Ishmael. But this mirror, they just keep knocking. So one book that I DNFed was Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. And I started out liking this book a lot. So I really liked the way that Frederick Bachman writes. I found his sense of humor to be charming. I loved his sentence structure. I will definitely read more books by him. This particular book, I did not like the plot. I got bored reading it. This is about a man who is a good man, but he needs money. So he decides to rob a bank. And it's a bank that doesn't carry cash. So it throws him for a loop, and he kind of panics. And he runs across the street to an apartment building where there is an apartment showing going on. And he kind of takes these people hostage. And you go back and forth between what's going on in the apartment and the conversations that these people are having to the police station where a father-son duo are interviewing each one of the people who were in the apartment. And I think that's where I lost interest, because the interviews were all the same. Like everybody, each person had the same sarcastic answers to these policemen. Perhaps I would find out why by the end, but I felt like I was reading the same thing over and over and over again. So I stopped. I definitely want to read more books by him. I just did not love the plot of Anxious People. Okay, I feel like people are going to be like, but the other two books that I did not finish, one was Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I couldn't get through the first section of this book. I didn't care for the way it was written. It didn't hold my attention. I know it was one of the top books of 2024. But maybe I would try it again. Maybe Christmas was not a good time to try some of these books. I got halfway through The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. I wanted to love this book because I really like The Midnight Library. I don't like magical realism very much. And this book was like magical realism. I wish that there had been no magic involved. I wish that it had just been the story of this older woman getting on with her life. Once again, maybe it would all be explained at the end. But that part, I just kept saying, well, that wouldn't happen. Okay, really, that's not possible. And I have to stop doing that. But magical realism, just, I think that's why I would have rather have just read about the main character, who is an older woman who has left a house in Ibiza by a person that she helped years and years and years ago and hasn't seen since then. But she's left this house and she goes there, and of course her life changes. It especially changes after she meets this man who kind of takes her on a scuba dive, and things start to happen to her. I won't give it away. I don't know. I might pick that book back up, start halfway through and finish it. I wanted to like it. I really wanted to like it. I was so excited to find it at the library, and I just didn't. So December was not a great month for me. I read 4 books, did not finish 3 books, and I can't say that I loved any of them. So hopefully January is better. So this is what I'm reading so far in January. So the first book is for my Newbery challenge for myself. I started last year. As a teacher, I read a lot of Newberys. As a child, I read so many of the older Newbery books. And I didn't really realize how many I read until I was looking at my list of Newberries last night. And I was amazed at how many I had read. But I hadn't read any fairly recent ones. So I started at 2014, and I'm just going to read to 2024. Once I'm done with that, I am giving myself the option of just choosing Newberries to read. And I think that they'll go nicely with Suey's, at Suey's Book Banter. I think they'll go nicely with her Classic 6, because so many of the Newberries are classics. But this is the 2017 Newbery winner. It is The Girl Who Drank the Moon. It is a fantasy. I am about, well, I'm not quite 100 pages in. I started it last night. It started it before Christmas, an ebook. I didn't like it. I like it better as a book. I feel like I can get engaged more with this story. I really, really like it, and I'm not a big fantasy reader. So basically, it is about, there's a group, there's a town, it's a protectorate. Every year, the group of elders take a baby and leave the baby in the woods as an offering to this witch that they think lives in the woods. In this particular year, the elder in training is so upset by this, just so upset, that in the next years, he refuses to participate. That's as far as I've gotten with that. The witch, the mean witch, is not quite sure what is going on, but these people keep leaving these babies in the woods every year. So every year she goes, she gets the baby, and then she takes the baby and finds a home for it. This year, though, she becomes enamored with this baby that they name Luna. She feeds her starlight, moonlight, and she becomes enmagicked. And they're trying to find a way to control the enormity of this little girl's magic. Of course, there is a dragon. There is, what would you say, a swamp monster that live with the witch. I love it so far. I really, really do. It's so good. It would have been a book that I would pick up for my class, but I'm reading this. The other book that I am reading is Lost Children Archive by Valeria Lucelli. I'm reading this for Maria Andrea's book challenge, reading Latino authors or Latina authors. Also, I'm about the same amount in, almost about a quarter, I would say. Yep, almost 200 pages in this. This book is very different. I think it's stretching my reading interests a little bit. A family goes cross country. The husband and wife both have different projects that they're working on. Their marriage is kind of hanging by a thread. Mom is not quite sure what's going to happen with the marriage. The story is interesting. Right now it's being told by the woman, the mother. And it's not so much as a story as it's just delving into her daily thoughts. Like, it's almost like a running commentary of what she would be thinking if you could see inside of her brain. She never calls her children by name. She calls them the boy or the girl. It is an interesting book so far. And I want to go through and just pull out like the snippets, the paragraphs, the sentences that are just so well written and impactful that really make you stop and think. The project that the mother is working on is she's trying to document the interviews and sounds of the children who are crossing from Mexico into the United States and are being held in detention centers. Side story is she's trying to help a mother whose 2 daughters are in this situation. So far, so good. I picked this book up and I am loving it. It is called Wintering: The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times by Catherine May. So this book, so far, it's delving into the idea that winter is the time where you should be kind of embracing the slowness and being okay with that, not thinking you have to be on the go and productive all the time. But it's also, it's a metaphor. Winter is for the times in your life when you are forced to slow down. Difficult times. I found a great connection to this because she thought she had cancer and she got really sick. And parts of the book I read to my husband last night. She was going for a walk. She finally felt well enough to maybe go for a walk. But she was in a lot of pain, but she decided to go for a walk anyway. And her whole thought was, what if someone from work sees me walking? Are they going to wonder why I'm not at work? Why am I not doing something productive? Why am I just out here walking in the snow? He has had those same thoughts. And I have those same thoughts whenever I just sit down and be like, you know what, I'm just taking today and I'm going to do nothing. I've gotten so much better about it. But this book is very, very good nonfiction book. One of the people who reviewed it on the back is Elizabeth Gilbert. I love Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. She wrote The City of Girls, I believe it is. Wintering is every bit as beautiful and healing as the season itself. Catherine May thoughtfully examines the emotional, spiritual, and geographical reality of the cold times, the dark days, and those periods of our lives when things are neither soft nor easy. Very good book. So these 3 books are what I'm working on right now. I also got myself a book on how to crochet better because I am a one-stitch wonder. So yeah, using my little, I got this pretty much finished. So yes, that's what December looked like. Hopefully January is going to be much better for my reading. So far it is. Oh, and there's one more thing. Our local library system is a 3-county system, and they are starting this fun library tour. So what you do is there's a list of libraries that you can go to. There's a cute little map with all the local libraries, and at each library you visit, because your library card works for all of them, you get a little stamp or a little sticker. And you are supposed to, the challenge is to collect all of them in your county, but then try to get all of them in all 3 counties. So if you visit all 42 counties, you get a fun prize bundle. Who knows what that is? And you also get a limited edition library card that will be delivered to your home. I just thought it was such a cool way to get people to go visit other libraries that are in your area that you can use your library card for. Now, I don't know how many other people have library cards that are county or tri-county. This is a tri-county library card. I just thought it was such a cool idea. So yeah, so I'm going to be working my way through my library tour this year and bringing you along. But I picked one of these up too when I was there at the library. So now that is definitely a wrap. Happy reading. I'll see you on the next video.